All right, hello and welcome everybody. Another edition of the Rhythm Rundown with myself, Josh Applebaum, and my partner in crime, one of the sharpest guys I know, Mr. Cade Harper. And Cade, we've been grinding all regular season long. You and I think the first one that we did was late August, the first Rhythm Rundown. So we've gone through the regular season, and now we can really have some fun because it is the postseason. So tonight's live stream should be a lot of fun. We're just going to go through all the playoff games. We're going to go through, of course, Ole Miss and Miami here for tonight because that's the kicking off of the Final Four in college football playoff. Going to talk tomorrow, Oregon and Indiana. That one's really interesting, Kate, because it is super lopsided, but the line's not going toward the popular side, so I can't wait to sweat that one. And then, of course, we're going to walk through one by one all the playoff games in the NFL for this weekend. So a lot of games to get to, Cade. I just want to remind everyone as I share my screen here to keep updated here with all the new comings and goings when it comes to Rhythm, because we have some awesome new features. We've kind of tried to highlight this throughout our live streams, but we have our new parlay optimizer. This is really interesting because people love betting parlays. Cade, I'm cautious when it comes to parlays, but really what I like about Rhythm is that it's not a feel of like, oh, let me parlay these 5 teams because I feel like they're a good bet. No, we want to go based off of data. And really the cool thing about this parlay optimizer, this new feature from Rhythm, is that it's going to allow you to narrow down your parlay pieces. And there's these new really cool orange icons located next to games, which will automatically tell you the parlay pieces, but you can put them in the optimizer, and it's going to tell you which ones to play and which ones to avoid. So we have the optimizer here. We also have a bunch of walkthrough videos. Always want to mention, these tutorials, which can help you to familiarize yourself with these different features. And then we also have, of course, all of our contests here. So you might have the best, playoff seating or playoff performing system, which could get you about up to $1,000 here. And then we do have our promo code START25, save 25% off. We got our refer a friend. We got our Discord channel. That's a long-winded way of me saying, Cade, welcome to the playoffs, my man. So how you feeling? Let me just throw this at you real quick. Do you change the way that you approach and cap playoff games versus regular season games?
Oftentimes, sometimes, I think. Really just depends on how the market reacts to a lot of things because a lot of people know that NFL dogs kind of crush postseason in a way. So a lot of the people know that. And so they will kind of tend to pick these trendy dogs in a way versus it's not necessarily a ton of chalk that we usually we see in the regular season kind of thing. Sometimes, at least I should say. College, it is a little bit different. For me, it's a little bit more data driven because I like to look at the in-season stuff, as well as obviously lineup availability and obviously who's healthy at the time. There's so many questions that goes into it that a model can only factor in so much, if that makes sense. So at some point, I like to tend to rely more so on the data in that kind of standpoint. However, if teams are pretty much perfectly balanced like they have been all year, then sure, at that point, yeah, I'm going to go after a model at that point. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I rocked with Rhythm throughout the NFL postseason last year, and they were all over dogs. So I absolutely had a time last year with that. So yeah, I'm looking to run it back again this year, hopefully.
I'm right there with you. And it's again, the point that you made was really, really important because we'll get to this in a second because I want to start off with the college games, but just a little, Cliff's notes, little appetizer. Dogs tend to bark louder in the postseason. I think it's for a couple reasons, Kay. I'll give you all the full stats here. I got them locked and loaded. But on the one hand, you have such public betting. And again, there can be some trendy dogs to maybe be a little wary of. But a lot of times the public is going to gravitate toward these favorites. Also, these lines are other than that, what is it? The Rams line against the who was it? The Panthers. That's like
Yeah,
10.5, but every other game is, 1
super
point,
tight.
3
Yeah.
points, 4. So when you can get a time of year when the public, they may not have been grinding with us all year long, Cade, but they're thinking, hey, there's only a few games left. You're feeling the buzz and the excitement of the Super Bowl, only basically about a month away. Let me get in and play these games. And what am I going to do if I'm a public bettor that maybe doesn't know a ton or hasn't been grinding or aware of these systems that we're going to talk about? You're probably going to take a lot of these favorites because they're quote unquote the better team. So in that regard, going the other way, playing a lot of these dogs has been a pretty smart angle here for many years. But let's get right into it, Kid, because we have an epic 5-day stretch here. I think if you're a sports bettor, starting tonight, you have one of the best 5-day runs that you're ever going to have. We got college ball playoff tonight, college ball playoff tomorrow. We got 3 NFL games on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. We got Monday Night Football. So Rithmm is here to help you hopefully make the most of this epic 5 game stretch. But with that being said, let's start talking about these games here, Cade. Of course, we got to start off with the college football playoff. So I'm going to change my Rithmm board to college football, and we're going to check out and really see what Rithmm is telling us for this first game with Miami and Ole Miss. Now, I like to, of course, start off with what the betting market is telling me, and then hopefully align Rithmm, either telling me, hey, agreeing with the market, let's play this side, or is Rithmm in complete disagreement, which sometimes trips me up. And you and I, try not to go against these Rithmm models because they're so high powered. But I'm going to take the points with Ole Miss here, Cade. I like the Ole Miss plus 3.5. What really jumped out to me with Ole Miss, couple things. One, there's been a back and forth, almost like a battle between the 3 and the 3.5, where Miami comes in. Obviously, both of these teams probably didn't expect them to be here. They both knocked off some really good teams like Ohio State, Miami beating them, and then, of course, Ole Miss beating Georgia in that insane game with that late fourth quarter. So these are teams that we probably didn't expect to be in this position. And there looks to be a battle where we saw the U open about a 3-point neutral site favorite. And at one point, they got up to 3.5. And if you go back about a week or so, I mean, this line's been out for quite a while, 4 or 5 days ago. It was pretty much minus 3.5 everywhere with Miami. But you're getting to game day. We're getting, only about an hour and a half from kickoff here. A lot of those 3.5s are gone. A lot of those 3.5s are down to 3. So my first indicator to play Ole Miss and take the 3.5, which is what I did earlier this week, is that we didn't get up to 4. We went to 3.5, but then there was an indicator across the market that there were a lot of respected bettors taking plus 3.5, bringing it back down to 3. So that was the first angle for me. Second angle was a dog who can score system match. You and I have really cashed some tickets in this spot where if you're on a dog, either like Miami in that first game against Texas Tech, you got to be able to play great defense, keep it low scoring, or you got to be a dog like Ole Miss last week, getting, 6.5 against Georgia, and you can put up a ton of points and keep pace or backdoor cover. So the fact that Ole Miss is humming right now with Trinidad Chambliss and just put up 39 on Georgia, that gives me confidence that they can put up enough points to hopefully keep pace or backdoor cover against Miami. Other angle for me, SEC, ACC. You are a battle-tested Ole Miss team who plays in the toughest schedule, toughest conference. Miami plays in the ACC. So do they see, or have they been battle-tested and hardened like Ole Miss has in the SEC? Who knows? And then, of course, Cade, you might know this about me. I hate Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin is one of the biggest losers in all of sports because you have an opportunity to win a championship with all these kids that you've been sweating and grinding with all year. And what do? On the eve of the playoffs, you abandon them. So you don't get to gloat. If Ole Miss wins this game, you don't get to tweet out how excited you are for Ole Miss. You left them. So I think there's kind of a leverage angle, or it's just a house money angle with Ole Miss where it's like, hey, no one believed in us. Lane Kiffin, our coach, quit on us. Screw you. We're going to play great and upset everybody. But all that being said, this is the Rithmm Rundown. So what is Rithmm saying for this game? If we click the models for this matchup here, there are 2 conflicting models. Now, we have one telling us to take Ole Miss because they should only be plus 2.1, and you can get a 3.5. The other model is Miami minus 3.5, predicted 4.4. So it's not that they're both on Ole Miss. They're both Green Star plays. But, Cade, if you look in these conference or these college football playoff games, dogs have really barked. They're 6-2 against the spread. They're 5-3 straight up. And we have 2 money line indicators here on Ole Miss. If you're feeling bold, Cade, you're bolder than me a lot of times, so you've cashed a lot of these money lines. But we have a Green Star Ole Miss to win the damn game, plus 139. Second model, also Ole Miss, plus 139. So, again, it's not a perfect play. It's not like they're both Ole Miss. They're both Green Star, smart signals. But at least I have one telling me that this should be about a 2-point game. I can get a 3.5. I'm going Ole Miss here, Cade. Let's go Rebels. I'm on the plus 3.5. The floor is yours, my man. How do you see this game?
This one's very scary if you're a bettor. I mean, if this is a college football fan standpoint, you're like grinning ear to ear at this thing. Like, you arguably get probably the best game of the entire weekend started off tonight. You have probably, dare I say, hottest offense right now in the entire country, or in the entire playoffs, I should say. And then you have the hottest defense on the other side of that. and they're going head to head tonight. And like it's like everything about this game, like it's phenomenal. I love this spot so much. I love both of these teams. I've made a lot of money backing both of these teams this year. And nonetheless, I mean, I'll start with Ole Miss. This is easily, without a doubt, the best season that they have ever had. It's relatively, I don't want to say it's close because it's really not. And I like I said this earlier in the previous week, like how happy, like how feels like we're proud dads watching over this team. Like, like how hard it is to lose your head coach and then to come out and beat a team that you previously just lost to. Like that's not easy stuff. And like I mean, I'm not gonna lie a little bit. I kind of doubted it. Like you have no idea what this team's gonna look like, but those guys were juiced. If you guys watched that game, those kids have energy and they want to make noise, and they're borderline trying to make noise again tonight. So, and everything that I need to know is pretty much offense versus defense in terms of Ole Miss offense, Miami defense. That's what I'm worried about. I'm not necessarily worried about Ole Miss's offense as much as I am Miami's defense, because the last game, you look at Trinidad, you see what that kid can do. Unbelievable what he's doing right now. He's the best quarterback in the playoffs, arguably at this point. I'll say that proudly. What we saw in that game was like pure. I don't know why. It reminded me of like prime like RG3 at Baylor for some reason, like him running around, going 40 yards back in the pocket and coming up and just throwing a dot to Keelan Lacey. And yeah, I loved every second of it. He ran circles around them. Enter this Miami defensive line. These guys hound, they rush, they're physical, they're nasty, they're gritty. Like Ruben and Messidor, I mean, these guys are going to get after you within a blink of an eye, and like they're going to have to create some plays where they're pretty much buying him time. Because I'll go back to the A&M game. They sacked Marcel Reed, who is a similar quarterback in my eyes because he's just as mobile. They sacked him 7 times. 7 times, and then obviously the game ends on an interception because he is pressured in the pocket. So at all costs, it kind of falls back on him. And you go to the Ohio State game, 5 sacks on a very talented offensive line who was stout all year long. And the moment that they meet Miami, bad news happens. And they ran for 45 yards in that game, by the way. A team that almost averaged, if not more, if I'm not mistaken, more than 100 yards a game, at least. And like I said earlier, Ruben Bain, Messidor, I mean, the rest of this defense is, like I said this at the very first round, this team has NFL talent across the board. And if there's one team that I'm trusting to make a national championship run, it was them. And I do have a future on them, but I said it in the last week that I'm not hedging. But if the play was there, it's Ole Miss at a field goal or better. Nonetheless, I'm going to be a little bit biased and hope for a Miami win. But yeah, at a field goal or better, I mean, it's got to be Ole Miss or nothing for me personally. And I did take a total because at the time, I didn't expect how it would react. It seemed like it was the right play, but I did add one as well. So I actually dabbled in first half total. I took the first half under instead on top. I only put a half a unit on the 52 at the time of opening. So kind of hoping for just a slow start and just exploding in the second half. Kind of similar to that Georgia game in a way, because you looked at that. What was it, like 24 to 19? That's what we're hoping for in this kind of case. Just a slower pace first half and then just let loose in that second half. Like who cares? I'll lose my half unit on that, but just, yeah, let's go slow pace in this first one.
No, great point by you. Again, we've seen these games. Typically, when you get to these, I'm not going to say it happens every time, but there's a feeling out process. This is obviously a Final Four game. Sometimes you see it in like the NCAA tournament in college basketball, where the first 5 minutes or so, you got some nerves. Remember, these are kids as impressive as they are, they're not pros. So you're in a huge spot. Are you a little conservative to start? Do you kind of feel out the other team? Maybe that is a play here to look toward that first half under. I would also mention, regardless of who you like tonight, it's on you as the bettor to get the best price, because we've seen this thing get down to 3. It's been up to 3.5. Now, if we look at the current line shopping opportunities right now, check this out. You're at a lot of 3s. You're at a lot of 3.5. So you cannot guarantee the outcome of this game. You can't guarantee who's going to cover, who's going to win. But if you are an Ole Miss bettor like me and like Cade in this spot, you got to get the 3.5. Again, it's your job to find the 3.5. It's your job to find the lowest juice. So I'm seeing, it looks like Fanatics, Kalshi, Poly Market. These are your best opportunities, 3.5, minus 118 or less. If you like the U was 3 to 3.5. So there was at least hit them early at -3. DraftKings, the Square, Caesars. There. So again, regardless of who you like, do your job and find that best number that's going to hopefully help you cash your ticket. Now, Cade, I wanted to ask you about the total full game because we'll be rooting for your under here first half, but for the game, and I think you kind of laid it out perfectly. Yeah, do we see a big second half? Is it a slow start? Remember that you hit the nail on the head with that Georgia game. Also, this is a crossing leagues, but NFL, that game with the Ravens and the Steelers, which was a quasi, basically a playoff game. That was a really low scoring. What was it, like 16-10, 13-7, and then they scored 1 million points in the fourth quarter. So, do we see something similar to that, whether it's late scoring or not? I mean, I'll lean over here as just a contrarian better. I don't love playing full game overs in very public playoff games because I just feel like I'm with the crowd, and that's a space that I do not want to be in. But I must admit, as someone who respects line movement, this total did tick up. I mean, you opened like 51.5. When I wrote a sharp report for VSiN.com earlier today, it was at 52.5 across the board. Fast forward to now, we're approaching an hour away from kickoff. We're up to 53. I see a 53.5 here, Cade. So it's very clear that there is some respected money going over here. And if you want to go over, you do have some good splits as well. At DraftKings, surprisingly, I thought the public would think Ole Miss score a lot, hammer the over. But no, maybe they're more respectful of the U and their defense because right now only 47% of spread of bets on the total are on the over, but 59% of the money. And if you look at Circa, 47% bets, 90% of the money is on the over. So Rithmm is recommending an overplay. It's a caution flag, but you're looking at around a 55.2 as well as a 55.1. So, Cade, that's a tough sweat, man. Under first half and over full game over. Which one do you like better? Do you like them both, or how are you handling this line move toward the over?
Said I'm not feeling good about my full game under, obviously, but there's, like I said, there's a reason I played it small because I didn't necessarily have a feeling that it was going to. I just didn't know how it's going to react. I also don't love taking numbers that quick off an opening, but just at the key, I assumed that it was going to go down, but I definitely didn't expect it to go up. That's for sure, honestly. Yeah, I would lean to the first half under more, only because I'm more so relying on second half or I'm more scared of second half adjustments. I think Ole Miss is a team that can adjust very fast and pretty much do whatever they want because their pace, they love to play fast. They love to throw quick. They love to pretty much keep Shameless in a rhythm. And I mean, nobody ran more times on Ole Miss than Georgia in the first time around, obviously. So instead of relying on the short range passing game, I think you might have to see some runs early on just to get something going. And obviously with Keelan Lacey's health, I don't want to say pitter-pattering because obviously he played, but for those of you who do know, I mean, he has had an issue, a lingering issue for a decent amount of time now. My biggest thing is going to be coming down to control a clock, I think, because if Miami controls their own pace and they do what they want, go back to the Ohio State game, 33 minutes of possession time. They dominated in that aspect. If they do whatever they want, I mean, we're going to see their pace. We're going to see probably a low scoring, just gritty game. If Ole Miss is calling, I mean, they're bam, bam, bam. There's no use of a play clock at that point. Just turn it off, like why even have it? But I mean, yeah, I lean first half more, and that's why I played it at the full unit. But like I said, I'm comfortable losing a half on the full game under, but I'll root for both, still. I was seeing reports, though, and this is obviously from my Discord, which shout out to them, who is absolutely just yapping it up right now about this game, obviously. But they're saying that the field is insanely dry right now, which makes sense. So
Arizona heat, yep.
Yeah, which makes, obviously, because it tends to be drier, more dry at least. Usually it's wet, though, because usually they try to import it a day or two before, and this year it was done apparently much, much earlier. So kind of puts it in the under's favor in a way, kind of, sort of. If anything, I mean, I'm gonna write it out. I'm not gonna like back out of it now, obviously, but I don't think I can actually. But yeah, we'll take it. And yeah, just first half under for me. I think I got that at 26.5.
Yeah, you're beating the closing line, man. I'm seeing 25.5, 24.5. So good job by you getting the best of it. And also, again, these games are great to live line. Like I
Yeah,
was looking at
absolutely.
the boardcade, and like usually I'm betting a few college basketball games tonight. I'm like, no college hoops for me. I'm just sweating this one game. We don't have a ton of football left, so I want to make the most of it. But yeah, let's say it's 3-0 after the first quarter, and that live line for the full game is down to, I mean, I don't know, maybe like 45 or something like that, maybe 40. That could be an opportunity to jump in and get a much better number there. So I'll be sweating Ole Miss, babe. Let's get after it, hotty toddy. But I hope we can get that under first half for you, Cade. Let's talk about the next one here, Oregon and Indiana. Now, kind of the way I'm viewing this one, Cade, is like a Hall of Fame sharp play on the Ducks. I mean, I cannot wait to sweat the Ducks. These are the games that, if you're a data-driven contrarian bettor, you love, because it is a one-off game. It's a Friday night, and it is massively lopsided toward the Indiana Hoosiers right now. Like, you are looking at basically nearly 80% of spread bets laying with the Hoosiers. Mendoza wins the Heisman. Cignetti is the new hot thing in terms of coaching. They're undefeated. They roll against Bama in their last game. I mean, everything's lining up to take the Hoosiers. But I think as a sports bettor, if you're into how the market, like, you learn to respect the market. Like, I think when you're new in sports betting, you don't really care about the market. You're going off of what your gut says. And then when you lose a few games that are like, how did I lose that? It was so obviously that this team was going to cover and it went the other way. Then you learn to respect that, okay, one, there are way sharper people than I am and who are betting these games. And the odds makers are moving numbers based upon that respected money. So if you see a line move that doesn't make sense, the old me, Cade, the college me way back in the day would say, the odds makers are dumb. They're wrong. They got this thing wrong. I'm smarter than them. Then you learn over time, no, you kind of want to respect what the market is doing. Will they get every game right? No. I'll give you an example. I was on Baylor last night against Iowa State. Sharp as a damn tack, Cade. They were +6, down to 4.5. Everybody and their mother on Iowa State. Idiot Baylor couldn't cover the number. They lose by 10. They turn it over constantly at the end of that game. So there are going to be times where a sharp move doesn't come through. And I see a lot of debate on Twitter of like, okay, this one sharp move lost, so therefore I'm not going to respect or honor any more sharp moves. It's like, no, sharps lose sometimes too. They're going to win 55, 57, 60% of the time. They're going to lose 40, 45% of the time. So I've learned over time just to respect sharp moves, and that's really where I want to be. And I'm thinking, not thinking, but literally the facts, the data, the numbers are saying the Ducks are really, really sharp tomorrow, because we are getting, again, nearly 80% of spread bets on Indiana. Now, Indiana opened at a lot of books like -4. They got up to -4.5, but they didn't breeze through 4.5 and get up to 5, which you would expect if they're such a popular play. No, they're all the way back down to 3.5. So if 80% of tickets are on Indiana, why did the odds makers fall 4.5 to 3.5? That tells me a lot of respected money came in here on the Ducks. And if we can look at what Rithmm is suggesting for this game, both models here are saying take Oregon. And this is unbelievable, Cade. Rithmm has Oregon favored in this game, -1.3. Second model, Oregon, -0.6. So if you can give me a game where I can be against the public, it's a Friday night. The ticket counts are insane on this one. 8 out of 10 bettors are going Indiana, but the line's falling to the Ducks, and Rithmm actually is saying Ducks should be favored in this thing. I love Oregon in this spot. So I actually got 4.5 earlier this week, thinking that will be your best number, because when I saw Rithmm saying this should be like a pick 'em game, I'm like, I don't think you're going to get better than 4.5. So I fired on that one. But even at 3.5, I'll play the Ducks here. So, Cade, any play here on the side? Are you surprised this line's gotten down to 3.5? What are you doing with Ducks and Hoosiers here?
Yeah, this is another one that I was talking about last week as well, and it's one that I did place. I got Oregon +4.5 at the early number for let me look, -112. That was on FanDuel earlier this week as well. Yeah, simply put, I have Oregon outright as well. My models had, I took a screenshot of this because I was afraid it would have changed and that nobody would have believed me. And I was like, see, guys, I told you, Rithmm had them favored. But yeah, mine have Oregon money line green star twice. And I didn't even do the calculation right. Or yeah, minus 1.7 on Oregon's part. That was, I screenshotted that yesterday. So I'm playing them out. I'm playing them on the 4.5. I'm playing them on the money line. You have two powerhouses of the Big Ten, obviously, where you look at the first game, they lost. You guys remember Indiana went into Eugene, into their own house, and that became the biggest game of the entire season. I mean, you look at the biggest game of the 2024 season, Oregon beats Ohio State. You're trending here. On October 12th, obviously what happened after that, Ohio State goes to wins the Natty. Now, I'm not putting out coincidences here, but your boy has another future on the line with this one, with Oregon wins the national championship for 15-1. So we're sitting great, like I said. But I'm still rooting for it. I'm not hedging. I'm just going to write it out. Like I said earlier, it's like a $20 future to win. I don't even know. I know the Indiana one was 25 to win. Payout was 7, Miami to win 7. Oregon 1,500. I can't do that math in my head, but I'll have to look at it later. But now, Oregon's not doing to Indiana what Ohio State did to them in the Rose Bowl. I'm not saying this is going to be an absolute, well, it's not going to be 31-3 at halftime, whatever that was. But teams that are finding their path, their groove late in the game, Oregon is playing at a different kind of level of football right now. They have more talent than Indiana. They have more speed. They have more skill. They have more guys. Alabama this year, they have the brand. Period. Sorry. They're playing better than they have all season. So what exactly are you going to do differently now that you lost that first time around? Sadiq, use your tight end. You have a couple of running backs that are actually out. One of them who's in the transfer portal right now, but is going to be playing in this game, which is insane. I don't necessarily agree with it, but nonetheless, I need you here, so why not? In the history of that game, though, Indiana's offensive production, it was the lowest of the year ever, and it was tied with Penn State, and obviously that was with the comeback which they won. We had Indiana in that game, was like +7, but again now, like these team just blanked Texas Tech, right? They entered the red zone one time. Indiana, they rolling and like slammed them. They didn't allow a single touchdown. They shut them out. They allowed 3 points. Whatever. Like, they executed on defense. I'll give them that in the first game. Indiana did very well on defense against them. They had 2 interceptions, 8 TFLs. Like Oregon, same thing for them. They couldn't convert in the red zone. They didn't score a touchdown in 3 trips out of the red zone. The opposite, obviously true for Indiana. Scored on every single red zone trip that they had, with 3 of those being touchdowns. And Oregon, I think, has looked the part of being a national title contender ever since. I'm going to tread lightly here, because after that Indiana game, we all remember that Wisconsin game when they were like minus 21-point favorites, and then they were actually down at half, and then everybody lost hope. Fast forward to those teams. After these last 2, they played USC, they played Washington. Suddenly you're back in the mix. This team is back. Dan Lanning's a psychopath, and we're back in this thing. We're going to go all the way. We're going to march, right? Here's what's lost. Oregon's defense was just that good in that first game. Oregon only put up 326 yards. USC was the only team to put up more until James Madison went off in the first round of the college football playoff this year. I'm taking the Ducks at 4.5, and I'm taking them outright to win this game and move on to the Natty. So there you have it.
Well said, my man. Yeah, and I think you hit on something that if you're an Oregon backer like you and I, you kind of feel like it's a little house money because of that revenge angle. When you lose prior in the season, you remember that. That's just not that you need more motivation in a Final Four game here like that, but you kind of just remember, hey, they came into our house, they beat us. That's something that maybe gets a little extra fire in you in this matchup. But To me, I always try to mention this. People are probably sick of hearing it, but when the betting market agrees with Rithmm, that's an auto bet for me. So everybody
Yep.
playing the
Yep.
Hoosiers, Lions going to Oregon. Your model, Rhythm's model, both have Oregon actually winning this game. So whether you got the 4.5 early and you're feeling great that the fact that this line's down to 3.5, or if you haven't played it yet, 3.5 is still there for you. Let's go Ducks. I really love this play. Can't wait to sweat this one tomorrow night. Cade, let's get into these football games for the NFL playoffs, because you were mentioning earlier how dogs, they bark pretty darn hard when it comes to the postseason. Well, I got some stats for you. I tweeted this out earlier this week, and this just goes to show why, if you like betting dogs, like, you and I have to go through the regular season where we play some dogs, you +7, you lose by 20, and you're like, what the heck? Well, here's the time of year where hopefully you get a little extra juice with some of these dogs. If you look at underdogs, NFL postseason since 2017, they're 60-38 against the spread, 61%. They're 64% ATS in the wild card round. If you're a dog who missed the postseason the previous year, public thinks you're terrible, but no, you want to buy low on those teams. They're 66% against the spread in the playoffs since 2017. If a dog has a line move in their favor, like let's say they go from +7 down to 6.5 or +3.5 down to 3, 67% ATS since 2017. And then short dogs, this applies to a lot of games this weekend. If you're a short dog getting 3 or less, flip it the other way. Public says, oh, favorites only -2, -3. They can easily cover that short number. No, it's those short dogs who have done well. They're 72% against the spread. So with all that in mind, let's run through these games here. First one on the board, let's take a look at the Rams and the Panthers. Now, this is the biggest spread of the weekend. It's been interesting because we were talking about the big game here tonight where it's gone from 3, 3.5, 3, 3.5. It's had that back and forth. You're kind of having that a little bit with the Rams and Carolina, where a lot of these books are at 10.5. It did get down to 10, back up to 10.5. The juice is really on the Carolina side, +10, -115 at quite a few shops. But I'm looking at the Panthers here, Kate. If you look at Circa right now, they're only getting 49% of spread bets, but 93% of spread dollars. I also kind of like the fact that, Carolina, there's this narrative out there that they stink and shouldn't have made the playoffs, which might actually be true because, again, you had a winner go home against Tampa. You lose, but somehow you still make it in the postseason. So I think the public narrative is just, lay the points with the Rams. They're going to win by double digits easily. A high-powered offense. Carolina's offense hasn't looked great all year. But one thing I really like about Carolina is that they're a very good correlative betting play. Like this total is 46.5, 45.5, which is kind of a moderate total. I'm not going to call it super low, but if you're a dog getting double digits in a relatively lower end total game, that's typically a good thing here. And I just think with these big numbers, I know there is a stat out there. Double digit favorites have done pretty good historically. I think they're 12-5 against the spread. I'm seeing that now around the last decade. But I'm going to take the points with Carolina, Cade. I like the split from Circa, and I like what Rhythm is telling me to do. First model has Panthers only +6.9. Second model has Panthers +3.5. And the best model here is a Green Star Smart Signal recommended play +6.4. So if we can get a 10.5 in a big dog, relatively low total matchup, public's thinking just lay it with the Rams. You can kind of buy low on a Carolina team that public has kind of given up on and doesn't even think they should be here. Maybe you lose by 10, maybe you lose by 7. I like the Panthers +10.5. I'm going to follow Rhythm and take the points here. But what's your take on this one, Cade?
I've 77% predicting a touchdown discrepancy is actually insane. I don't think I've ever had a bigger one than that. That's impressive. Nonetheless, I've said all year, I don't think I've ever taken a double-digit favorite in my entire NFL betting career, whatever you want to call it. Nonetheless, I stayed away from the side. I kind of leaned towards a total in this one as well. I'll stick on the side part for this one, though. Just trust the models in this kind of case for me personally, because I like the way that this Panthers defense has played recently. Not necessarily backing their offense, because obviously, like you said, they haven't been the hottest out. They haven't been exactly moving the chains kind of chunk yards kind of offense. And Rams have a very phenomenal defense. Like, it's just not the easiest thing in the world to do. I think I would definitely lean Panthers at the number that it's at, because 10 is ridiculously high. It's for a playoff game, personally. I can't imagine I don't want to say I can't imagine it losing, but I mean, like, it's just a playoff game mindset. You don't think blowout, right? You think these teams have earned the right to be here. I mean, Carolina has a home playoff game. The year is 2026. We're already past that. Like, that's already there. But nonetheless, smart signal applied again with all three of my models as well on the 10.5. I'm leaning towards Panthers as a side. But yeah, I didn't take. I'm waiting, but I'm wanting to take the under 46 here. Let me see. Yeah, so like I said, I don't necessarily plan on Carolina having enough success offensively. However, I'm not really expecting the same for Los Angeles because one, you have travel issues. You have outdoor postseason unders are actually pretty profitable and historically. So I like that system match there. Rams, I think they can probably carve out a decent early lead and then probably go into a cruise control kind of mode on offense, while their defense is going to basically force the Panthers to be so one dimensional where it's forcing Bryce Young to throw the ball more. But like I said, I'm not as confident in Bryce Young as I am in Matthew Stafford throwing the ball, if you can kind of put two and two together with that. But I like LA's D line specifically because they generated pressure at the seventh highest rate during the entire regular season, and they blitzed at the second lowest rate. So, which is kind of weird because if your D line is putting up that much pressure without blitzing, I like them destroying a Panthers offensive line personally. Nonetheless, like I said, I'm not necessarily trying to just pounce on the Panthers here, but I mean that's pretty much the key of the under is the Rams kind of coming out a little bit sluggish while the Panthers are just basically being held back by the Rams defense. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for, just a slower paced game to where it's still one possession for the most part. And then maybe you can, I don't want to say probably a backdoor because it could very well be 10 the entire game. It honestly might be. And I kind of seen that as well. But I mean, again, models all three had it. I had one recommendation on the under. I like Panthers in the under here.
I'm right there with you. So let's just stick with the Panthers here. We do have these really good Green Star recommended plays all lighting up on Carolina. The stat that I was looking for, Kate, as you were talking, I'm like, Bryce Young's pretty good covering at home, right? Well, he is. In his career at home, he's 12-6 against the spread as a home dog. On the road, it's a much different story. So can you lose the game? Most likely. I mean, we have seen, big upsets historically. I'm a Patriots fan. For and against the Pats, against the Rams in Super Bowl 2001, and then obviously big favorite against the G-Men, losing that David Tyree game. So it has happened before, but all I care about is can he lose by 10 or less. So the fact that Bryce Young has covered numbers very well at home, the fact that Rithmm is saying this should be closer to a touchdown spread, I'm going plus 10.5 here with Carolina. And then to your point, you were talking about the total. I'm with you there as well. I mean, the splits look pretty good, Cade. At DraftKings, only 40% bets, 57% dollars on the under. And at Circa, 33% bets, 87% dollars on the under. And again, some of these models are conflicting. There's a 47.3, but then we have a 46 and we have a 44.8. And if I can respect the market, which I try to do, you have seen this line fall 46.5 down to some books 46, 45.5. And as you mentioned, you look at these outdoor playoff unders, 55% since 2017. Could be windy too, Cade. Like I do have a windy icon here.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, about 13, 14, 15 miles per hour. Looks like there could be some rain too. So this could be a weather game, which I think if you're Carolina, I think you'd take that because, LA's a dome team and maybe that slows their offense down a little bit. So I'm with you. Let's go under. And I do like this 10.5. I played that with Carolina. Want to get into a couple props here, Cade, because there was one that jumped out to me. And it is a running back for Carolina. And it is not Rico Dowdle. It's Chuba. Chuba Hubbard, the backup, who was, great in college. Then he was the starter. And then Dowdle kind of overlapped him here. But they do have two pretty good running backs. And maybe it's a time to buy low on Chuba. I mean, think about maybe the way they want to attack the Rams is, do you want to, give the ball over and give them a ton of opportunities? No, you want to limit possessions. You want to control the game, all that cliche stuff you hear about. Part of that is by running the ball. So Chuba Hubbard is only 24.5 rushing yards across the market. Yes, he's the backup. Yeah, he's been banged up throughout the year. But we have a smart signal saying play that over. He's predicted 46.8 rushing yards. So that's a good 22-yard edge. And if you look at some of these trends here, you're kind of buying low. I mean, only 10 yards last game, 12 before that. He had a good stretch of 3 overs at that point. But I'm thinking, can you find, it's mostly 24 and a half. Some books are even higher. So it looks like that is your best number. But Chuba jumped out to me. And then I did notice a passing yardage prop on Bryce Young over 190 and a half. He's predicted 205 and a half. But Cade, any props you like here, whether it's Chuba over, whether it's Bryce Young over, or, a totally different player that I haven't mentioned?
Yeah, I'm actually looking, and just in postseason play, I was fooling around with it yesterday, just trying to get used to it again. But the parlay optimizer thing actually has one that I played, and that's Colby Parkinson's over. I had it at 18 and a half. I think it's listed at 19. But I do have that one. So, I mean, if I can find another person or a player, whatever, to pair it up with, I guess, using that, I'm going to try my best to look for it. Or maybe even, I don't want to say like tease the prop to make it like an alt line and then pair it with somebody else. I don't really quite understand fully just yet, because I know it's minus 114. Like normally that would be something that I kind of just play straight up. But like I said, given the feature of the app, might pair it up with another one just to test it out and, have some fun with it. It's playoffs after all. We only got a couple more weeks of this, so you might as well make it fun and enjoyable. So I like his history with it though, overall. And yeah, I'm thinking that he's going to be utilized a lot in this kind of case, especially with how Devontae Adams kind of been such a roller coaster with his health as well.
Yeah, great point by you. He's predicted 28.3. You can get over 19 and a half. That is nearly a 10-yard discrepancy. And man, you like these little bars here. You got a lot of greens telling you that, he has been getting a few targets. I mean, the guy's huge. He's really tall. So if you need a possession, first down, a play in the red zone, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm with you. That Parkinson one looks pretty good. Let's go to the second game here, Kate. This is the second game, the sandwich game coming up on Saturday. Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears. Now, this has been really interesting because it's kind of all over the place. I mean, a lot of books you opened at a pick 'em, or I saw some books, -1 Green Bay. At one point, it was -1 Chicago. You got to apply home field advantage. So right now we're at Green Bay, mostly -1.5, -1. So odds makers are telling you neutral site, Green Bay is the better team. But I'm looking toward the Bears in this one, to be honest with you, Cade. A couple things that jumped out to me. On the one hand, I jumped on +1.5 Bears, and I'm starting to see some books get down to 1. So if this were to get up to 2, that would scare me as a Bears backer. That would be evidence of further Packer money coming in. But no, it looks like maybe 1.5 with the Bears is your best price. Now, if you did want to tease them up, not a bad teaser play. Again, 1.5's up to 7.5, or 2.5 to 8.5. Like that's your Wong teaser that a lot of pros like to play. But as it stands now, divisional dog, built-in familiarity, levels the playing field, benefits the team getting points. You also have Da Bears, 3 recommended plays from Rithmm. First one says Bears should actually be favored by 0.1 points. Second model, 0.4 favorite to the Bears. Third model, 0.2 to the Bears. So just on the thought process of we can get a dog +1.5 that Rithmm thinks is going to win the game, that's pretty good value to me right there. Also, we have Chicago 6-2 at home. They've been pretty good at home. Green Bay's only 4-1 on the road. Green Bay also, I mean, they've had a lot of injuries. LaFleur sat pretty much everybody in that last game. Even though Cade, he kicked the field goal, I had no money on that game. But what an idiot loser coach. What a Bush League move. I guess he wanted to cover the 13.5 for the Packers bettors, but I thought that was kind of a gross thing to do. But I'm going to take the Bears in this spot. Rithmm says they should win the game. I can get a 1.5. You're a divisional dog. And I like this Bears team at home. So what's your take on this one, Bears and Packers?
My custom model actually had Packers green white as a green star. I'm actually going to hold off and wait for this one live. I think I'm hoping Bears score first so I can just get the Packers at probably at least a field goal at the very least, just to give me something, because I think this game is going to be just as close as that last one just was. And I am actually bringing back up the past matchups here. Obviously, you have Green Bay, who hosted the first time 28-21, covered as a 6.5 fave. You go to Chicago and you get a revenge, and you win as I think they're a 1 point favorite as well in that game. With that in mind, obviously, home team won and covered in both of these meetings, right? Though I think you can probably argue Chicago might have had a little bit of luck in line, maybe, potentially. Great game nonetheless. I actually enjoyed that one. But I think the fact that this game is in Chicago, the home atmosphere that they have in a playoff game is going to be second to none. It's going to feel so nostalgic now that they're like back, if you want to call it that. It's been a great year, and the Bears obviously, like I said, beat Packers in the last game. Jordan Love did not play in that game. There is one of my favorite systems in NFL postseason play, which actually technically applies to the game we just went over, but I'm going to ignore that. Experienced playoff quarterbacks playing inexperienced playoff quarterbacks. Experience will win a lot, and they cover actually at a decent rate. Not necessarily, actually, I think it's more of a straight up profit than it is a spread profit, if I'm not mistaken. Because the spreads actually tend to be a bit higher. In this case, this is a case that I'm kind of looking into a money line situation, but I'm going to play a spread live on Green Bay if it applies. I just like they're fourth in NFL EPA per play. They have a really huge edge over Chicago in that kind of stance. And then obviously, like I said, they're right there defensively. Chicago's 21st. Green Bay is 22nd. So they're fairly even teams, but like they did lose their best defensive rusher in the middle of last month, meaning obviously you're without probably the biggest weapon X on defense in all of the NFL, arguably. I mean, it's in this case it comes down to Halfley preparation, getting that D line ready, and basically to force Caleb Williams into making some decision that you pretty much want him to make as a defensive coordinator. Force him to make a mistake is all you have to do. And with them having 2 games under their belt, including a loss, Matt LaFleur is 4-0 when coming off of 4 consecutive non-spread covers, and the Bears are 2-4 both straight up and against the spread in divisional games this season. I like the experience better personally. Love the Bears. I love what they did this year, but I'm going to try to find something live in this case, just because my model had Packers and then the rest of them had caution flags, but I just didn't feel right about having the -1.5. Not really where I want it, just because of how that last game went. I think there's also supposed to be some snow and some ice or whatever it is supposed to be in this game, so I also like the running game on that aspect to be a little bit more. Very, very conflicting here. And like I said, if I don't get it live, then I'm not playing anything, but I'm going to look for it at least.
Yeah, great call by you. Again, I can't really fault anyone who likes Green Bay because the line did move to Green Bay a little bit. I mean, you're a pick 'em. You got up to -1.5. You look at also some angles here. One that really I like with the Bears is that short playoff dog 3 or less. That's a 72% ATS system since 2017. If you're a wild card dog who didn't make the playoffs the previous year, that's a 70% ATS system since 2017. So I'm going Bears 1.5. But again, you tell me like Green Bay, you tell me like the experienced quarterback. I'm not going to argue with you. Now that's going to rear its head in a minute here when we get to Chargers and Patriots, because that's
actually a lot. Yeah, there's a lot in this slate. That's the thing. So it's hard to rely on that and then fade at the same time. Different experiences. I don't know.
And I'll be honest too, like I'm on every dog this weekend trying to go 4-2 against the spread. That's what you've seen historically with these dogs.
Yeah.
You know, you're probably going to cover 4. You may miss 2. Obviously, you need 4 to turn a profit here, but I think there's some reasons, especially with Rithmm recommending Bears, that at least hopefully the Bears can lose by 1 or win the game. You mentioned snow, Cade. We got maybe a sharp under here. We have seen this total fall a bit. It was 46.5. Now it's down to 45.5, 45. I'm seeing a 44.5 out there. I'm annoyed because there was a moment where I was thinking, I kind of like this under 46.5. I didn't play it, and now I've missed like a point and a half. So sometimes that happens, but the splits look really good on the under. DK 51%, 61% dollars, circa over 90% of bets and dollars on the under. And we do have latest forecast, which again, things can change, but you're looking at 30 degrees, 15-mile-per-hour winds, snow. I mean, this is going to be a great game to watch 8 o'clock on Saturday. But if we look at what Rithmm is saying, they're agreeing. 3 models here say take the under, 44.2. You love this one, 42.1, and that's a Green Star recommended play. And the under 45, which should be a 44.8, kind of cash by the skin of your teeth. So I'm looking unders there. Any thoughts on this undercade? Or I do have a prop for you if you want to get to the props.
I love playoff unders, period, and outdoor playoff unders. And then you factor in the weather with that, and you add a smart signal to that. It feels like it's an auto bet for me. So, yeah, I'll ride with you on that under there. I'll probably jump on that now just because of the way it's projecting to close out. I don't want to wait too long. But, yeah, I'll go ahead and put that in.
Yeah, I love that one because playoff windy unders. If the wind is 10 miles per hour or more in the playoffs since 2017, the under is 12-7. Wild card unders 45 or more, under is 60%. So you are lighting up a few under plays here. Now, the prop that I was looking at, I'm shocked that this number was so low, Cade. If we go to the player props, it is a receiver for Da Bears, and it is a guy who made that incredible catch to win the game, that walk-off against the Packers last time. It is not Josh Wiley, although that's interesting. Guy no one's ever thinking about. Over 7.5.
Love those single-digit ones, man.
I know. Those are great. Maybe we should play that one just because it's one of those obscure ones. But DJ Moore, who, again, I don't know about Rome Odunze. Have you heard about anything about him, if he's playing or not?
He was off the injury report.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be 100% because obviously they're going to need him, so they're probably going to play him. Yeah. But I like factoring that in, honestly, if they're trying to keep him under the radar a little bit. That's a really short line for DJ, though.
Yeah, only 26.5. He's predicted 44.2. I mean, it's very rare that you get a number one wideout. Again, the weather, if it's windy, I mean, I don't love that for the passing game as much, but, a couple deep passes, a 27-yard catch, you can cash that in one fell swoop. But we have a smart signal on the over, which gets me excited. This situation, based on the sample size, the record, the ROI, and the conditions of this bet, it's cashing like almost 2/3 of the time. And you're kind of buying low on him. 11 receiving yards, 7. I mean, he's had 2 straight games. This is probably why you're getting such a reduced number, because he hasn't produced a lot last couple games. But he's really popped off in a few of these for, well over 60 yards or more. So I'm looking at that DJ Moore over, Cade. Any thoughts on that one or any of these others? Again, we have Josh Wiley. Can he get you 8 yards?
I'll be the sicko that bets that one. I'll do that one. They've been hot with the single digits, dude. I don't get it. It's literally all year long, though. So, yeah, he's also a Cincinnati native. So, yeah, give me that guy. Give me my guy, Josh Wiley.
Makes sense to me, man. I'm right there with you. But that's interesting. Again, with the snow, the weather, the under looks like, I would say, maybe the sharpest play there, just because the market systems, the weather, Rithmm is saying go under. I'm going to live or die with Da Bears, Cade. So we'll see how this one shakes out. Let's go to Saturday. Triple header Sunday, actually, I should say. First game on the board, 1 o'clock, Buffalo and Jacksonville. This one, weirdly, Cade, it's kind of like, if I can get to this game, it's very similar to the Bears game, where like it's basically a pick'em number, but it's slightly toward the road favorite. So if we've kind of, watched the line movement in this one, you open most shops, it was around a pick'em or a -1 Buffalo. Some shops have gotten up to -1.5 Buffalo. I took Jacksonville Jaguars +1.5. I like the fact that some of these books are getting back down to 1 or a pick'em. So that tells me there is some late movement back toward Jacksonville. Jacksonville, I'll put in that same spot almost as Ole Miss tonight, a dog who can score. Jags are red hot. They're putting up, nearly like 30 points a game here recently, this stretch. Also, Buffalo, I mean, Josh Allen, he's had some foot issues. Is Josh Allen at optimal health here? I have questions about the Bills' defense. And I can't believe I'm falling into the trap of the Jags here, but I kind of like what the Jags are doing. They picked up, Jacoby Myers, and he really helped that offense quite a bit. So Jags are at home. They're humming right now. I think 1.5 is your best price. It looks like it's getting down to maybe back down toward a pick 'em. And what is Rithmm saying? Rithmm is saying, let's go Duval. We got Jags minus 0.4. We got Jags minus 1.7. We got Jags Green Star minus 2. So this is one of those plays where maybe you don't like analysis by paralysis or whatever they say, like just looking at every stat back and forth. Let's just take it from the standpoint of you can get the Jags plus 1.5 when Rithmm says they should be favored to win this game. So I like the Jags in the spot, 7-2 at home, 8-0 their last 8. Again, putting up nearly 30 a game. I think I love Josh Allen, and I never want to bet against Josh Allen. The guy's an absolute stud. But I took Jags plus 1.5 here, Cade. What are your thoughts on this one?
Love it. Absolutely love it. I'm like, this is the type of game where Josh Allen could literally put up like 4 touchdowns or 5 on his own and still lose this game. I mean, it's going to sound insane. Trevor Lawrence is being incredibly disrespected by the entire market right now because dare I say that both of these quarterbacks are playing pretty much at the same level. He's been the hottest QB in the league by far for pretty much like the last like month and a half. And for one, I mean, I don't think teams need to be dominant against Buffalo in the passing game because their run defense is just disgusting. It's terrible. And then they also allow like 130 plus yards per game, whatever it is. Buffalo hasn't faced a passing attack like this loud or this dynamic or this busy in a decently long time this year. And they're like, you pair this offense with Liam Cohen, what he has done this year with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he has fully unlocked him. And I have him. I had him on Coach of the Year bet on a future there. I don't even know how that looks right now, but what he has done in this year is just phenomenal. I like what this entire offense in general is ridiculous. And they're finally seeing their potential, and he's getting the perfect time in the system. And like you mentioned, Jacoby Myers, one of the biggest trade line acquisitions that you could even get. And like he brought life to a receiving core that was just, I don't want to say bad because Brian Thomas Jr., phenomenal rookie year. Parker Washington is a sneaky guy who can sneak around you all the time. Really, really, really good slot player. And then tight end Brenton Strange, who is a strong, burly guy who can pretty much grab anything up there. And then you have ETN, who's one of the most dynamic running backs as well. Nonetheless, you said it best. Jags are really, really good at home this year. I like them again here, especially as a dog for the price of it. I think the value's there. There's a reason that the line is like this. You put this game in Buffalo, completely out of the blue. Like it's all over the place. This line is a reason. Like take the hint here, like personally. And yeah, I like what the market's doing in this, and I'm glad that I got my number the way that I did. So I'm on Jags plus 1.5 with you as well.
Love it. Let's go Jags. For my buddy Emerson Lazio, who's a big Jags fan. The total, Cade, it's a really high total here. This is I believe it's got to be the highest total of the weekend. Yeah, 52, 51.5. Obviously, you're in Florida. Don't really have to worry about the weather. Or again, I say that, but who knows? Maybe it starts to rain out of nowhere. But at like 63 degrees, moderate winds here. Brad Allen, lead ref, is one of the better under refs, like 54%. But I'll just look at it from a market perspective of, it opened 52. You're down to 51.5 at a lot of books, even though if you look at the betting market right now, 70% of bettors are going over. So the public's hammering the over, thinking it's going to be a shootout, yet we've actually kind of dipped a little bit toward the under. So I'll respect that underplay. Rithmm has a green star 48.8, which would be your under 51.5. 42.5, man, that is a huge one. That's a caution flag. But then also 45.6. So again, a lot of these times you get into these games, like I remember Cade, she's my wife now, but we had just started dating. We went to Twin River Casino, which is in Rhode Island, and it was the Patriots against the Rams in the Super Bowl. And that total, I think, was 56. It was like super high, and it was like a 13-3 game. So like sometimes you think it's just going to be this huge high scoring game. It doesn't always, work out that way. So Do you like this under at all, Cade? Are you surprised it's dipped a bit? Again, it's hard to play the under just because both these teams can put up points and they can give up points, but Rithmm is saying go under, and I kind of agree.
It's so funny because like this was like the only game where like initially looking at just the number before I looked at anything, it was like the one game where I was like, yeah, I could honestly see that going over because of how electric both of these offenses are right now, and then obviously how bad Buffalo's defense pretty much is. Nonetheless, after doing the digging and after everything, again, applying the systems in the postseason do not lie. I love my postseason systems almost more than my regular season primetime unders, stuff, all that jazz. Postseason unders are legit. I love them more than probably anything in the entire NFL market. And yeah, like I said, something this high very well could not come close to hitting whatsoever because for whatever reason, McDermott and that team in Buffalo in general, they're actually very good in wild card games, and they like to like take it up a notch. It's the reason why they're pretty much this trendy Super Bowl pick every single year because they flip a switch. Like they know this time of year that like they always fall short, this and that. There's no Mahomes in this case. There's no Burrow. There's no Lamar. All this motivation on Buffalo's side or whatever. It's like this team, like they really do play well in the postseason until they don't. That's the only thing that you're kind of hoping for is that the defense actually takes it up. Nonetheless, I'd be more reliant on the system in this case, getting that key of 52 especially. I like it just because of how high it is. If this was priced or this was listed at any other number that like the other totals are at, I'd probably lay off honestly. But yeah, 50s is where I'm laying off in a playoff game, you guys. That's just a little bit too much personally.
Right there with you. Now, you mentioned a guy who was ridiculous in his rookie year and kind of came back down to earth, didn't have the greatest sophomore year. And I think you can maybe buy low on him because of that. But it is Brian Thomas, who obviously lit it up last year. But he's only sitting at 42.5 receiving yards, Cade. Rithmm is predicting 61.1. So you're looking at an 18, 19, nearly a 20-yard discrepancy here between the betting market and what Rithmm is expecting. If you look at his trends and focus specifically on home games, this jumped out to me. He pretty much shows up at home. Now, last year he was getting you 100, 120, 150-yard games. This year it's been in the 80s, 70s, but he has gone over this number in 6 of his last 7. And Buffalo Bills, who's he going up against? The number one cornerback, Tre'Davious White's kind of old. Who's it? Bernard, the other guy. Like that could be a kind of a sneaky matchup where Trevor Lawrence looks to him. So that's one that kind of just jumped out to me. Maybe going over there with Brian Thomas. Cade, let's fly through some of these because man, we got Ole Miss in only like 25 minutes here. So we got 3 down. We got 3 more to go. Let's talk about San Francisco. I'm a little surprised here that this line has continued to get up toward the Eagles. And I'm thinking, is it just an injury move? Like Trent Williams and Pearsall, I don't know if they didn't practice today or they're still banged up, but obviously San Fran does have a bunch of injuries. This game opened Philly as low as like -3.5. It got up to 4.5. And I'm thinking that might be the best number. I was wrong. I have a bad San Fran plus 4.5 right now. I do not like the fact that this is getting up to 5.5. I actually had someone just DM me and say, Eagles are up to 5.5. Do you still like San Fran? I'm like, well, not as much as I did before, but I made my bet, so I'm going to stick with it. But you do have some things in your corner with San Fran. It's still a data-driven play where playoff dog, 61% against the spread since 07. Wild card dog, 64% ATS since 07. A wild card dog who missed the playoffs the previous year, 70% since 2017. So I don't know if it's true smart money hitting Philly, bring him all the way up to 5.5 now, or if it's just Trent Williams and Pearsall may not play. But Rithmm is still saying the value is on the Niners. First model is 4.9, not huge, but you can get a 5.5 now. Second model +2. That's what you like if you want to play San Fran. The fact that Rithmm is saying it should still be pretty close. And then third model, 49ers +3.9. So, Cade, do you have a play in this one? Are you surprised it's up to 5.5? Is now the time to jump if you haven't done it yet on 49ers 5.5? Or are we looking at it wrong, saying Maybe Eagles win by 7 or more because this thing keeps going up toward Philly.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes up high enough, I'm going to have to double down at this point. I love the 49ers in this spot. Like I've said all year, there hasn't been a single team that I have not loved fading more than the Philadelphia Eagles. And in this spot, it's absolutely perfect. And pretty much, correct me if I'm wrong, they pretty much did the same scenario like a year or two ago, I think, when San Francisco actually won outright in the bank in the postseason, I think. That would have been the year that they made their Super Bowl run and then lost to Kansas City, I believe. Yeah, I think that we pretty much have a similar case on our hands. And I did take 49ers at a worse number, but I mean, 4.5 to 5, it's not necessarily tomatoes with that. Took them on the 4.5 at the opener. I know we talked about that when it kind of did open because I was picking your brain a little bit just to get how the market kind of adjusts. So I did play the 4.5, and then I also took them on the money line because one of these dogs has got to win personally, and I don't think it's going to be like the plus 1.5 Jags that we have. Like, I don't really want to call that necessarily a dog, even though that they obviously are. 1.5s are more like a pick to me. I'm trying to treat them that way. This to me seems like a dog outright spot for me personally. And I looked at the systems, I looked at the numbers, and every single one of them is pointing at the Niners, including all the models. And yeah, smart signal now. I'm on. So yeah.
No, you made me feel better, man. Yeah, I'm getting worried here because, like, you play like Oregon 4.5, they're down to 3.5. You're like, let's go. Like, we did our part. Let's ride here. You get a 4.5, goes up to 5.5. You're like, ooh, what's going on? So sometimes you get lucky. Like, I'm a big proponent of I always make the joke on my podcast, like, dance with the one who brung you. If I got a 4.5 and it's 5.5, I'm wary that I made the wrong pick, but I'm going to stick with it and either, live or die based upon that. I'm not going to buy out of the pick. I'm not going to bet the other side.
Yeah.
Again, personal preference. Some people would argue with that, and that's totally fine. But whether they cover or not, hopefully we can get a good game here and cover that number. I was looking, by the way, at Shanahan as a dog. It's not as good as I thought. He is 53% ATS as a dog, postseason 3-2 ATS. But again, hopefully Trent Williams plays. I mean, Pearsall, he's been in and out, but Trent Williams, that you need him for your offensive line going up against all those good players on the Eagles D line. But yeah, if you haven't played it, 5.5.
I will say, even though if Trent Williams doesn't play, the guy who filled in the spot, which is Austin Pleasance, 3 pressures allowed against the Seahawks, which it's not necessarily terrible. And I'm going to take the Seattle D-line over Philly's D-line personally. Like, they're the best defense in the league. I'm definitely going to do that. Also, his first ever start. So I'm not going to feel terrible about it. Obviously, you'd love to have your guy. You know what I mean? But if it's not, it is what it is. This team's been plagued with injuries year in, year out. And for some reason, they still always find a way to win. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Shanahan. But yeah, I'm not necessarily too worried about the injuries in this case.
And also between now and what is this 4:30 game on Sunday?
Yeah,
does the 5.5?
Yeah,
a lot can happen. It may come back down to 4.5. Who knows? But I was surprised seeing it get up to 5.5. Real quick, just 2 player props that jumped out to me here, Cade, both on some pass catchers. One is a guy that is always a low number, and he kind of goes over it at a pretty decent clip. Jahan Dotson. Over 7.5. He only needs you 8 yards to cash this ticket. He's predicted 25.7. Look at some of his trends. He's kind of boom or bust, but he is a guy where if you focus on AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, he's kind of wide open in some of these situations. So that caught my eye. Dotson as kind of a lesser known guy, lesser bet player to go over a very low number. And the other one was a receptions prop, and it was Darius Cooper, who I don't know a ton about, Cade, but I was watching the last Eagles game and he made some catches, and I'm like, okay, I got to get accustomed to who this guy is. But can he get you 1 catch in this wild card game? You're getting plus 125. Rhythm's predicting 1.3. It's a smart signal on a guy no one's talking about. And if you look at his trends, he's gone over 5 straight games. So what do you think, man? Cooper over, Dotson over. Any other props here that jump out to you in this game?
I'll say one thing is that Patullo loves to use these underutilized guys in the postseason because 2023, I remember this like the back of my hand. It was my very first touchdown score bet ever that I've ever made. And I had Alameda Zacchaeus. Sure enough, Alameda Zacchaeus gets in. He's like, dude's probably never heard of the dude, but it was like 150 to 1 or something outrageous. And I was like, holy cow. So Patullo loves his underutilized guys. He loves these guys that are maybe going to get like a slant or like 2 in the game, and then they're off the field for the rest of it. That's about it. Nonetheless, like I said earlier, single-digit numbers with Rithmm, and the props are green. They have been extremely reliable. I'm not trying to like necessarily get ahead of myself with it, but I can't stress it enough because we say it every time. They are.
Yeah, we're gonna call it the Ryan Flournoy bet, and people just
I love that. He was in here like 4 times this year, 4 or 5 times. It was insane.
Yeah, he was a great one, but sadly, no more Cowboys games. Tank Bigsby, he jumped out to me, Kate. I'm just looking through some of these smart signals or Green Star plays. Backup running back Saquon can't carry it every single time, so can he get you 12 yards? You know, that's like 1 run, 2 run, 3 runs. Makes sense to me. 20.1 is his predicted number, and he had 75 last game. He's gone over 3 out of the last 4. Bigsby. I know everyone's going to play Saquon overs, but again, Bigsby over could cash same kind of money that a Saquon bet could cash. But yeah, even though that line's crept up, still looking at the 49ers here. Now, Kate, I don't want to rub it in because your Bengals are out of it, but my Patriots are still in it. Let's talk about this Sunday night game, 8 o'clock, Chargers, Pats. I am a Pats fan, but I like the Chargers in this spot. I'm going to take the plus 3.5 with the Chargers. You're mentioning earlier that experience versus inexperience. Herbert, I mean, what did he throw? 4 picks last year. Like, he hasn't been great, but at least he's been in the playoffs. Drake May's awesome. Probably going to, the MVP, who knows how that's going to shake out with the voters, but it is his first playoff game. But what I'm looking at this one, I'm seeing liability on the Chargers because we open a lot of these shops. Patriots -4. Public loves the Pats again. 70% of tickets at DK. But this line is not up to Pats, minus -5, -6. No, it's gone the other way. We're down to 3.5. So this line is ticking back toward the Chargers. They're contrarian in a primetime Sunday night game. You do have the wild card dog, playoff dog. And this one's incredible, Cade. If you're a wild card dog playing an opponent who missed the playoffs, since 2017, that system is 16-1 against the spread, 94%. And like when I'm on Twitter, I see people post stuff like that, and I'm like, that ain't real. A 16-1 system, that's fake. I don't believe you. But I looked it up. I looked at every single game, and it is real, believe it or not. So I don't want to jinx it, and now it's going to become 16-2. But the line is moving toward the Chargers. Those 4.5s are down to 3. I'm seeing a couple books juice up the Chargers side, plus 3.5, -115. You also have Chargers, not a huge edge, not an edge at all, I guess. Chargers +4, Chargers +3. That is an edge on the 3.5, and Chargers +3.8. So it's not really a rhythm play per se, but they are leans toward the Chargers, and it's a Sunday night game where everyone's playing New England, but the line's moving toward the Chargers. So this is one of those fan tax type games, whatever you want to call it, because I hope the Patriots win as a Patriots fan, but as a bettor, I got to take the 3.5 with LA. But what do you think about this one as a non-Patriots fan?
Yeah, just because you hated on the Bengals here, I have to rain on the parade here a little bit. No, goes back to my.
You can rain away if that rain is telling you to go Chargers. Go ahead, man.
Oh yeah, it's doing it.
Okay, nice. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
One of the systems again, bringing it up again with the experienced QBs versus the inexperienced QBs. I had the number pulled up because I couldn't find it earlier, but experienced are 39-20-1 against the spread, and they are 40-20 straight up. And that is dating back all the way to 2002. I think something to consider, is from obviously week 10 to week 18. So basically the second half of the season, if you will. Patriots defense, they allowed 131 yards on the ground per game, and pretty much that's without one of the key guys in there with Milton Williams. huge, right? And I'm, like I said, this is another one of those teams where I faded pretty consistently, and actually lost a couple of times. Honestly, like they were pretty chalky for the most part for about once they kind of gained their power and started getting these pretty big lines. We actually kind of lost a couple on them, but I'm still going to be fading them in this spot as well. They've beat up on some of the bad defenses themselves, I think. So they kind of did it themselves with their strength of schedule being the worst in the league, obviously. But they haven't played a top 10 defense since week 8. And that was before Halloween for the date people who are asking about that. Nonetheless, I'll give you on a little secret as well. Chargers are 4-0 straight up as dogs this year. And they're 7th in defensive EPA per play. I like a lot to do with this defense. I like a lot to do with Herbert. I know he's been a little bit kind of arguably pedestrian in this kind of half of the year as well. Hasn't really lived up to his actual true playing standards, but I don't necessarily want to call it a letdown spot. I just like Harbaugh's coaching. I love Vrabel to death. That's one thing I'm scared to death about, because in this kind of spot, we saw him in Tennessee. Like his teams in the playoffs, they were pretty good. The only game that I remember physically that was just completely out of his hands was the Bengals 2021 run in Nashville, which I was at in person, which was just insane game. But
Burrow was sacked, 9 times, and they still won, right?
Unbelievable. Yeah. And McPherson hits the game winner. Yeah, that's craziest game I've ever been to in my entire life. And yeah, I guess I'd be really afraid on the other side is Vrabel in this spot, but I like the Chargers defense more. I think that Drake May is going to kind of get a wake-up call in a way. I just expect some stalling to go on in that offense personally. So I'm going to take the Chargers at 3.5, and I'm going to sprinkle them on the money line here as well.
I'm with you. And again, the other angle you're hearing, because I'm in New England, they're talking about this game every day on talk radio. People have like fallen in love with the stat of, I think it's like a dome team or a West Coast team in a playoff game when it's below 40 degrees. They're like 1-20 or like 1-15, or there's some awful record of that spot. Now, okay, that's win-loss. I only care about, can you lose by 3? Like that's right. Not red ATS. So I'll throw that out there. But also the weather's like, I'm in New England. I'm outside of Boston. It's been a kind of a gross, cold, really crappy winter, but it doesn't look that bad for Sunday night. Like it's going to be like 32 degrees, like, which is cold, but no precipitation, not a lot of wind. I mean, when I was growing up, I remember the snow game, against the Raiders, the Tuck Rule game. Like this is not a, 10 degrees, -10 wind chill with, 5 feet of snow. Like the weather's not going to be that bad. And I do like to fade West Coast teams going east for a 1:00 game. This is an 8:00 game. So I don't know if that body clock issue with those West Coast teams going east is going to be a big deal. Cause for them, it's, 5:00, it's not 10 a.m. like those 1:00s are. So I'm on the 3.5 with the Chargers. We'll see how that goes. I did want to mention Ramondre Stevenson because he's kind of been really good the last few games.
Definitely.
Over 38.5 rushing yards feels kind of low. He's gone over this number in 5 straight games. I know it was the last game of the year against Miami. Didn't mean much, but he really played really well. You have Henderson, who's been great, but it's his first playoff game. My only worry with Ramondre is fumbling. I feel like he hasn't fumbled in a while, which is like scaring me because he fumbles kind of a lot. And it's like, you're kind of due for a fumble. And if that happens, maybe they go away from him. But he's got a green star play, predicted 47.7. He's sitting at 38.5. So Stevenson is a guy that I could get behind. And then I was just looking at some receiving yardage props. I think it was McConkey. So he is 39.5, predicted 66.1. I mean, that is a big discrepancy in the market. And if you look at his trends, he hasn't really been the McConkey that we're kind of used to. Like the guy was great last year. He was really good the first half of this year. I don't know, Kate, if that coincided with, maybe it did with Herbert breaking his left hand and like maybe that was part of it. But, weather shouldn't be too bad. I wonder who Christian Gonzalez is going to cover, if it's McConkey or Keenan Allen or who knows, or who's the guy from TCU, Quentin Johnston.
Quentin,
But
yeah.
you're really buying low on McConkey there, and he can get you. He could theoretically get you 140-yard catch and go over that number. So that jumps out to me. Kate, any of these jump out to you? Also, Kayshon Boutte, over 28.5. He's predicted 48.8.
Yeah.
Of all the games, there's kind of a lot of Green Star recommendations here on past Chargers.
It does seem like it. I think was this a green star for the under as well? Because that'd be really funny.
Yeah, let's see. Let's find it.
So they can get all the yards that they want.
Yeah. Good point.
They can get all the yards they want, but they're not scoring.
43.8. 44.4. Yeah, good. That's great funny. Call by you.
That's I don't know. I mean, maybe I do like the Ramondre one immediately. Like you said, last 2 weeks, I think what is it, 170 plus, 3 touchdowns, 11 yards per carry. Sorry, 12 yards per carry. And yeah, I think that they've found a groove on the rushing game. And the Chargers, I'm looking at it. They allowed 100 plus rushing yards in each of the last 2 games. So for him to hit 100 yards again, maybe, I don't know. I like it. But yeah, I'll take his prop. That's pretty short for what he's done recently, so I do like that.
Yeah, makes a ton of sense there. All right, let's wrap it up, man. Let's go to Pittsburgh, Houston, Pittsburgh. Believe it or not, I'm taking the points. Again, I'm a broken record here, Cade, taking the points here. But if my dog systems tell me dogs are good, I got to play all these dogs. So this one, though, I don't think it's just a pure, like, it's a dog, take a dog system. This one looks pretty sharp to me because you are getting, as of right now, updated numbers, 62% of spread bets are on the Texans, but Houston was minus 3.5 much of the week. Cade, there are very few hooks out there anymore. A lot of these books are down to 3, and I'm actually seeing a couple books that are juiced toward the Steelers +3, minus 115. Like, it may get down to 2.5. So it's very clear here that this line is going back toward the Steelers. I don't know if we get to 2.5. I did jump on the hook with the Steelers a little bit earlier this week because this is just kind of an auto bet for me. You're a primetime unpopular dog with a line move in your favor with that 3.5 getting down to 3. Also a dog low total. Total in this one was 39.5 down to 38.5. You're that short dog 3 or less system that's been really good. 72% ATS. And then we go to Rithmm and we have 3 leans where Steelers should be plus 1.6. Plus, believe it or not, favored minus 1.2, and third model plus 1.5. So what do you think, man? Can Aaron Rodgers live to fight another day or at least cover a number for us? I'm going 3.5. Again, I don't know if you're going to get the hook anymore, but Steelers look pretty sharp to me here.
I did. I was on Steelers as well earlier this week. It's Tomlin home dog. That's pretty much the same system that we've been relying on pretty much the entire season long. I cannot believe that they won the way that they did in that game against Baltimore either. But that was crazy. That was unbelievable. I'm still pretty confident in the Steelers, honestly. Again, like I said, it's nothing necessarily to handicap just because, like, the team is just so reliable at home against the spread. Like, honestly, there's not really much to it. And the models have clearly loved them all year long, pretty much in that same system. I just say to keep riding it. I'll point out that there's a reason that the line is like this and the line and the total is like this, because this is by far one of the lowest totals that I think I've seen in a playoff game in a very, very, very long time. I don't know. I don't really trust Houston's offense to do too much. I mean, I'd really only be worried about Houston's defense in this case because I don't really trust CJ Stroud in this kind of spot, personally. I'd rather have the experienced QB, very experienced QB versus, I mean, what is he now? 2-3 year QB, I guess now at that point, but only 2 playoff games, I believe. Yeah, give me Aaron over CJ all day long, especially at home.
Yeah, great point. And also, it's a Monday night game, and when you're a veteran team, like Rogers is pretty old. Hayward, guy's still awesome, but he's old. That nose tackle, like you have some veteran players who could really benefit,
Yeah.
hopefully, from that extra day. Monday night at home. Also, Houston is traveling. Pittsburgh played at home last week, so maybe there's kind of a sneaky schedule advantage there toward Pittsburgh. And then you really nailed it with that Tomlin as a dog. I mean, I love that system and playing it for years. If you combine both regular and postseason, he's 70 and 42 against the spread, 63%, 21% ROI. The total's kind of crazy because you mentioned how low it is, but it's actually gotten lower. Like it was 39.5 down to 38.5.
Oh wow.
Now, Rhythm is saying buy low and take the over. I mean, that Steelers Ravens game, that crazy fourth quarter, like I forgot the number on that game. I think it was it low? Was it 41 or like I think
Oh,
it
I
was
was so mad. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Yeah, I had it 43, and I know it closed 44, or not closed 44, but finished 44, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry to bring it up again, man. My bad.
I was hoping to move on
I
from
wasn't
that,
on
man.
that, and I'm
Yeah.
like, man, that sucks. Yeah, for whoever suffered that one. But let me just wrap it up here. Let me throw one prop at you, Cade. Just jumped out to me. Um, where is he? Mr. Adam Thielen. Thielen showed me something in that fourth quarter where there were a couple of plays. It was like a third and long. He had a huge catch over the middle. It's the playoffs. Rodgers, you see him constantly yelling and screaming at the young guys who screw up a route and don't run the right route. Thielen, he's not fast. He's older, but I think in an important playoff game where Rodgers is going to lean on veterans who are going to run the right route and be where they're supposed to be, Thielen is a guy who's smart and can do that. So he's only sitting at 13.5 across the market. Rhythm's predicting 22.5. If you look at his trends here, he's gone over in 3 straight. I don't know if that's 3-0 since he joined the Steelers or whatever that the case may be, but he got you 43 last game in a really important playoff game. I think Rodgers could trust in this veteran and go over with Adam Thielen 13.5. So that jumped out to me. Kate, any thoughts on player props here? I'm just trying to maybe find some green star plays. The only ones we're really seeing are the rush attempts. Gainwell to the under 7.5. He's predicted 5.7. And then the other one was a reception prop on Xavier Hutchinson. Can he get you 2 catches over 1.5?
I kind of like Hutch there. Yeah, he's been kind of making some noise lately. I don't know. Yeah, for lower totals like that, I kind of tend to away from props in a way, just because if the market and like if they're expecting such a low scoring game, you don't necessarily find value in over props as much, just because like yards don't mean points. Obviously, they contribute to it, but that's not what necessarily that it means. So I'm not going to take like over 70.5 or like over 80.5 or whatever. You get the point. Like higher and stuff like that when the total is like below 40, especially. Yeah, I kind of stay away from that kind of stuff and kind of just try to pick a side in that kind of matter.
No, it makes total sense.
Short dog and short total too. That's also, yeah.
Amen. All right, man, we did it. I think that was our new record-breaking longest stream, 1.5 hours. So I had a lot of fun, man. Yeah, as always, a pleasure breaking out games with you. But just want to remind everyone, everything Cade and I have been talking about, you can do on your own by yourself with the Rithmm app. So make sure you go download Rithmm. If you want to recommend it to a friend, you both get a little sweetener there. We have our parlay optimizer. Use promo code START25 to get 25% off. But Cade, we got to get out of here. We got Ole Miss right now, so we got to sweat this one. It's time to go. But want to thank everyone for tuning in. Cade, we're gonna do this again next week. Talk more playoff games. That should be a lot of fun. Any final thoughts, man? Take us home and get us to Ole Miss here.
I mean, go Canes, but go Rebs, I guess. I don't really know where my stance is yet.
Yeah, you're in a tough spot with these futures.
I gotta make up my mind here. I don't know. But yeah, we'll root for the stream. Go Rebs. We'll root for the Canes to win though. And yeah, I mean, get ready for the weekend that we have ahead, because this is going to be really great. I'm excited. So
yeah, no worries. And then we're going to get college hoops. We'll incorporate that as football winds down. So Well, great job, man. Good luck to everyone. Enjoy the epic 5-day stretch here of football, and we'll see you next time. So